never feel range anxiety ever again on your e-bike. Check this out, you guys. I've added a little miniature golf cart battery to my e-bike. Lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry. But not only did I add that, I still have the original OEM battery here. It's as easy to switch between the two as unplugging one cable and plugging another one in. But by doing this, I just tripled the range of this bike. I get the most insane performance too, because lithium iron phosphate has a very flat voltage curve, right? So I get higher voltage for longer compared to the standard lithium battery. A big shout out to Power Queen. They've got all the major components that you need to make this build possible. We're going to be putting it through the paces. We're going to see what kind of range we actually get. Compare that to the standard range with the standard battery. I'm going to show you how I easily built this and added it to this bike. And if you don't have an e-bike but want to do this kind of conversion, why this particular model is perfect for adding a lithium iron phosphate battery. And guys, if this kind of content where I'm experimenting with crazy stuff like this is of value to you, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hype the video. And I'm mostly saying that for those of you that jump ship early here. I want to say a huge thank you to those of you that watch all my videos start to finish. You guys are awesome. Okay, to do this conversion is really quite simple. First, you obviously need a e-bike. This particular one is really, I think, the perfect thing. This is from Hovsco. It's the Hov Beta folding e-bike. The reason that's super nice is because we can open this up and it's much easier to chase the new cables that we need to run through the frame when it opens up in the middle and gives you a whole bunch of access. And then you get the benefit of a folding e-bike. The other reason this is good is because it has a really nice cargo rack back here. And as you'll see, this is absolutely perfect to mount our new big battery on it. And then probably the most important thing is the existing battery that we will still be able to utilize is a 48 volt battery. So we can easily add this battery to it. However, we must never connect a lithium iron phosphate to a standard like NMC type battery. And I'll show you how we can still use both batteries but never have them connected to each other at the same time. Power Queen's going to have the two big components that you need, and then you'll just need a few bits and pieces of wiring. Lithium iron phosphate batteries have a very flat discharge voltage, so it's near unto impossible to determine the state of charge off voltage alone. So getting a little shunt like this is going to allow us to get a feed on how much power has come out of the battery. So this is the shunt itself, and then it comes with a little monitoring screen, and then it comes with a nice long cable to transmit the data from the shunt to the screen. And then in this box is the star of the show, a 51.2 volt, 30 amp hour golf cart battery, believe it or not, but it's going to be an absolute insane e-bike battery. And we should be able to add it to the app here pretty easily. So we can see the state of charge, temperature, we can see that we're charging it with 900-ish watts, 15 amps. So no frills app, but nice to have, really nice to have included with the battery. And then other things you'll need, one of these cables that is XT60, in this case is XT60i, to ring terminal. Then I've got two of these cables. This is an XT60 extension cable, and I've got links to all this stuff down in the description. I've got some ratcheting tie-down straps, and then a disconnect switch, and some cable ties, whatnot, for cable management. The battery that came with the e-bike is fully charged. So if I just take my multimeter and put it on volts DC, the battery that came with the e-bike, you can see is sitting at 54.2.3 volts at a full state of charge. And now probing the lithium iron phosphate battery, you'll see it's sitting at 53 volts. If I were to drive for just a second on this, we'd actually see this voltage drop below this. We're actually going to have a higher continuous voltage out of this battery compared to this battery, which should give us additional performance on the e-bike. Let me show you another reason why this bike is so perfect for this conversion. So with those screws removed, this just comes out. And look right here, where the normal battery connects to the controller, there's actually just an XT60 connection. So you can literally just unplug that. So there's no major changes to wiring or anything. It's literally unplug one thing. This cable is really nice because it's got this like armored covering on it. Okay guys, got the 2 power cords through. Be sure and take your time. Make sure you get the 2 opposite ends pulled through. We need to run this cord that comes up and plugs into the new battery monitor. So there's actually room by just kind of moving these cables out of the way to go through this grommet. And you can see it coming down right here. And it does have this end on it, and it did go through the grommet, so you just got to be a little bit careful and work it through, but it goes through just fine. So next I've got to take this connector and plug it into the controller, and then this plug will connect to this. This is going to the controller, and it's going to just kind of stick down in there like that, and that's going to leave me space to connect this little guy. Can't even tell anything happened. So now I'm going to just kind of organize these at the folding point and get the bike folded back together, and then we can do some more cable management the rest of the way up. Alright, we've got it all folded back together again here. The excess cabling I just bundled up tightly, made look nice just right here. Let's put this battery in for fun and just make sure it powers up. Look at that. If I tip the bike off the floor, haha, very, very exciting. So my dual power source is gonna work. What I think I'm gonna do is mount it laying down on this rack. Incidentally, I checked with Power Queen, and you can lay this on its back or its front or its left side. You just cannot do it upside down or laying towards the right side at all. I don't think this is going anywhere. I've got 2 ratchet straps. You can see one's right here going around it front to back, and then I've got another one going around side to side, and I mean this thing is rock solid. That's not going anywhere. And then this is my little disconnect switch, and I just cut a little slit in the case so that the strap could go through it, and that's what's holding it to the battery. I think that's gonna be great. And then I've got the shunt over here on this side. So I've got this wire, and it comes down and is right there, ready to plug into the feed to the motor. It comes up here, goes into the disconnect, and you can see this one does have black, so this is the positive, this is the negative. So we'll have our disconnect here. You'll also notice that there's an extra red wire on the positive side, and that comes out here and powers the shunt. And then on this other side, I have yet to hook up the negative. It's gonna come over here to the shunt, which I'll show you once it's done. And then I've got my positive. It'll just come over and hook on right here. I need to come off the battery negative to the shunt, and then from the shunt to the disconnect switch. Well, this terminal is just a little bit too small, just by a fraction. So I'm going to take the good old stepper bit to it and just expand it a little bit. And looky there, it fits just beautifully. Now on this shunt, there's a P- and a B-. So your load connects to the P- and the battery negative connects to the B-. You need one more thing if you are going to be using this shunt, and that is a ring terminal connection to a ring terminal connection. So I'll leave a link for a little cable that you could use that for. Thankfully, I had a little spare cable kicking around that I will use. Okay, got the 2 negatives hooked up to the shunt. All right, got the positive hooked up here. My overkill negative wire. Incidentally, this is all 12 gauge wiring. Based on my calculations, it should be enough. We'll see when we start drawing power. I did size this breaker though to be a 20 amp breaker, so that should protect this 12 gauge wiring very nicely, because this battery here can put out some crazy amps. Now I got this connector with the XT60i because it was a good price, but I think I really like the 2 different colors, because I just know that orange is coming from the lithium iron phosphate battery and yellow is coming from the built-in battery. Makes it super easy. All right, big moment. Let's connect up the battery here. We don't have any power yet. We've got to flip the switch. All right, fingers crossed. Hopefully nothing blows up. 3, 2, 1. Well, no sparks, no explosions. That's always good. We've even got stuff showing up on the battery monitor, which is awesome. Let's see if the rest of the bike powers up. Yep, no battery there, so we're getting all the power from the new DIY battery. And apply a little throttle. It's working. See how the shunt is recording 0% state of charge? You need to just calibrate that. So that's what we're preparing to do. The charger just finished. I just topped the battery completely off to 100%. And we are going to press and hold this bottom button. There we go. And then you can see right here on capacity, we're going to go into that. I'm going to adjust that down to 30 amp hours. Okay, so it's a little confusing, but clear back on page 2, it says to press and hold the up button to set the current capacity to full capacity. Press and hold. Yeah, and look at that. I did it. And now we're showing 100% state of charge. On this shunt, not only do you get a measurement in remaining amp hours and then the state of charge in a percentage, you can also see the battery voltage right down here. And then you can see how many amps are coming out and then total power in watts, something that you do not get at all on the built-in screen. You just have little bars right here. And so to have all this additional information is very, very valuable. But don't forget you can use this app if you have like a cell phone mount or something to monitor it as well. However, it's not quite as sensitive as the shunt because if you notice, it's saying 0 power, 0 amps, where in reality we're drawing just over 5 watts, 0.10 amps. Let me show you something totally epic. Go on to Amazon, buy these super cheap Colson solar panels. I'll leave a link for them down in the description. Then simply add a very inexpensive solar charge controller. I highly recommend this one. However, it's not branded this anymore, but same manufacturer, just different brand. The nice thing about this charge controller is it works for 12, 24, 36, and 48 volt batteries. So you can use this to recharge your 48 volt lithium iron phosphate e-bike battery. And then when you're not needing to charge your e-bike, you can slap it on your RV and dump some solar juice into your 12 volt battery or 24 volt battery or whatever. So you can use this multiples of other places, not just recharging your e-bike battery. Something else to mention with this kind of setup, you've got some significant power in this battery pack right here. You can also, if you have a 48 volt inverter, hook it up to this battery in an emergency situation and utilize the power in this battery to power your refrigerator or something like that. So I love that it's not stuck doing only one purpose like that battery is. The battery is completely water resistant. The disconnect switch is obviously in a very waterproof enclosure. The only weak link in the system in terms of water resistance would be the shunt. We are going to do a range test now on this Power Queen golf cart battery. You can see up here we're starting at a 100% state of charge. So we're going to be starting this test with an odometer reading on the e-bike of 113 miles. We're going to ride it probably in multiple sessions until that battery is dead, at which time we'll take an odometer reading and see how many miles we got. I'm not going to be super conservative or anything. What I'm going to do is go up to pedal assist 3 every time that I'm riding. That's how I tested this OEM battery. And then I'm going to be using some throttle here and there and whatnot. Feels exactly the same. I can't even tell that there's extra weight on the back. If anything, it actually feels more zippy because of the added voltage. It's very cool because it tells me that I'm pulling over 1,000 watts from the battery when I floor this throttle. 26, 27, there's 28, we hit 28. So yeah, we can still easily get up to full speed on this bike, even with that added weight, no problem. The brakes on this bike are hydraulic disc brakes, so they have plenty of stopping power still, even with the added weight on the back. Okay, it's probably not coming over on the camera very good, but this is a very steep hill right here, and I'm just going to kind of floor the throttle. This is going to provide a huge amount of amp draw, and I just want to make sure that my breaker isn't tripping, right, when it's really pulling power to go up a hill. So let's just test that quick. Full throttle. And we made it just fine. No problems. And guys, I love this shunt monitor right here. It's so nice to be able to see the wattage that's coming out, an estimated percentage, which is very handy in 1% increments. And then not to mention just, power consumed in amp hours. That does a lot in alleviating range anxiety because you have a really good idea of exactly how much power you've got left. The black numbers on the shunt screen are highly visible in bright sunlight. Actually more visible than the lighted numbers on the main display. In the documentation for the shunt, it does specifically say to keep the screen out of direct sunlight. So I don't know if it will fade with exposure to sunlight. We'll find out. And I rode it until it died. Everything just shut off completely. Come back here and see the switch is still on. I do a power cycle here. We got nothing. Shunt's not lighting up, nothing. So the battery went into under voltage protection. So that's where this configuration is super slick. You run out of juice with the big battery, simply unplug the orange one, push the yellow one together, and simply come out here and power the bike on. Ta-da! Full charge. Good to go some more. All right, let's see how many miles we've gone. We started out at 113 and we're 194 now. We went 81 miles on a full charge on this battery. And that was being very liberal with the throttle. That was on pedal assist 3. You could get substantially more if you just kept it on pedal assist 3 and didn't use much of the throttle, or if you lowered the pedal assist down. I'll insert a clip here from my range test on that battery so you can see the result. I gotta find a better shade spot so that this isn't flashing, but the battery just died and we're recording 31.7 miles. So if we just take my conservative real-world test result, 80 miles on the big battery, plus another, let's just round down to 25 because we've added a little weight. That's going to give you just over 100 miles of range before you need to charge anything. That is so sweet. The other impressive thing is recharge time. Here's a clip of when I recharged the OEM battery from dead to full. Charger light is green, so from dead to full, it took just shy of 5 hours, 4 hours and 48 minutes. And so now we're going to test from dead to full on this lithium iron phosphate battery. And the charger we're going to be using today is a 56.8 volt 18 amp charger. You can see the light is blinking red on the charger. When it's finished charging, that's going to be a solid green. So just shy of 2 hours, charge that battery from dead to full. So less than half the time that that battery takes to charge from dead to full for just shy of 3 times the range that that battery gives you. So yet one more reason why this lithium iron phosphate battery is so totally epic. Okay, let's go over some pros and cons for this setup. Starting with the pros. Pro number 1, and probably most obvious, a huge increase in range. Pro number 2 is cost. To buy a replacement battery directly from Hovsco or a second battery for the Hov Beta e-bike. At the time of making this video, it's selling for $450. By contrast, the lithium iron phosphate golf cart battery from Power Queen costs $350. So right there, it's cheaper. But don't forget, it's over twice the size. So if we're actually comparing kind of watt hour for watt hour, in reality, you're getting a replacement battery equivalent at $175. So substantially cheaper. Then add, about $50 or $60 worth of cables, and you can come out less than the cost of buying one of the OEM, replacement batteries. If you add the shunt to the mix, plus the cables and everything like that, you're going to actually probably be slightly more expensive than an OEM replacement battery. But again, remember, you're getting more than double the capacity battery-wise. So again, watt hour for watt hour, it's still substantially cheaper even with the shunt. And then on the heels of that, the other benefit is the lithium iron phosphate chemistry. It holds a much higher and flatter voltage across its entire cycle compared to the NMC batteries that are in the OEM e-bike battery. And then another benefit to lithium iron phosphate chemistry is that it is significantly safer to charge and discharge. And then again, benefit to the lithium iron phosphate chemistry, you get way more cycles, discharge and charge cycles, than you do with the standard battery. Another pro is that it can recharge significantly faster than the OEM battery. Another pro is you're actually able to charge the lithium iron phosphate battery at the same time you're using it if you wanted to create some kind of solar trailer or something like that. The OEM battery does not allow you to recharge simultaneously as you are discharging. And using the shunt and or the smartphone app, you get a lot more information on how much power you're pulling from the unit and how much power you have left compared to the OEM battery monitor. Let's talk about cons. First and foremost, it adds weight to the bike. It makes it a little more top heavy, so you got to be prepared for that. It uses the rack space on the back of the bike. It doesn't look as clean as the OEM battery. And then you also need to invest a little extra of your time, running the extra cables through the bike and whatnot. It isn't like slapping in a second OEM battery and off you go, right? So those are my pros and cons lists. Leave your comments down below. Any other pros or cons that you feel are a big deal that I failed to mention? Do you like the setup? How do you see you could improve it? What issues do you see with it? And do you think this would be something you'd do for your own bike? I can say for me personally, I am absolutely loving this. Like I said, everything that I used for this build will be linked down in the description, so be sure and check that out. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hype. The 5 free things that make a huge difference in the videos and really help with the YouTube algorithm. I really appreciate your help with doing those things for me. We've always got more epic stuff in the future. Stay tuned, stay safe, and we'll catch y'all next time.